Am I the a-hole if I, female 25, refuse to lend my engagement ring to my sister-in-law, female 20? I recently got engaged. Yay! The proposal was really intimate and sweet. I have always been very picky about rings. They're my absolute favorite type of jewelry. So obviously, I was sure on what kind of engagement ring I wanted even before I had a boyfriend. My fiancé proposed with the exact ring that I wanted, and I was so happy he respected my wishes. This is going to be important later. My sister-in-law, female 20, is my fiancé, male 26, younger sister. She is generally used to getting whatever she wants. She swung by our house a couple days later to congratulate us, and obviously demanded to see the ring. No biggie. I showed it to her, and then she wanted to wear it on her finger. I budged on that too. Big mistake. She took a few pictures with my ring on her finger, then gave it back. This was last week. Yesterday, she called me up saying she's going to this really fancy party this Sunday and wants to wear my ring since it doesn't really look like an engagement ring. I politely declined. She asked me a few times, and when I refused, she started shouting and calling me a witch for not sharing a piece of jewelry that her brother paid for. She told her mom too, and my mother-in-law texted me asking why I'm not giving her my ring. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's your engagement ring, not a communal bicycle. Your fiancé bought the ring for you, not for his family. I'd keep a closer eye on the ring for the next few days if I were you. I'd also have a quick chat with your fiancé about the dumb BS his sister and mom are pulling. Yes, and get it insured if it's pricey. So when you announce your pregnancy, is she gonna ask to borrow her brother's genitals too? Will your mother-in-law insist? Just no. As she said, her brother paid for it, not her. And like the first comment said, bring your hubs into it. You need to present a united no. Not the a-hole. Firstly, it's your ring, and you are not obligated to lend it to anyone. Not wanting to is enough of a reason by itself. But this is your engagement ring. They are meaningful and sentimental, regardless of whether they look like a traditional engagement ring. It's not normal to ask to borrow someone else's engagement or wedding ring at all, and it's weird that she doesn't get that. She's being an entitled brat. I find it even weirder since it's the ring from her brother to OP. It's not a friend asking to borrow another friend's ring, which would be slightly less odd in my opinion. I would not want to wear a ring that my brother gave to his fiancée as a symbol of his love. Not the a-hole. It's not just any piece of jewelry. It is your engagement ring. I am wondering if sister-in-law told mother-in-law it was just a ring that she was trying to borrow, or if she told her that it was your engagement ring. If mother-in-law would be okay with that, let her give sister-in-law her engagement ring rather than borrowing yours. Next story. Am I the a-hole for insisting to invite someone to the wedding when my fiancé is against it? I'm 26 male and my fiancé, who I'm getting married to in a few months, is also 26 female. I started dating my fiancé 4 years ago and we got engaged last year. Before I met my fiancé, I was friends with one girl since we were 16 years old. We weren't that close, but we were good friends. I had no contact with that girl after she had cursed out my fiancé multiple times, and when she was acting jealous over the fact that I have a relationship and I'm going on dates with my partner. She was getting really exhausting, and I felt suffocated by her. After she spoke some very horrible words to my fiancé, I cut her off. That was almost 2.5 to 3 years ago. Now this girl started dating my cousin 3 months ago. My cousin will be invited to the wedding, and although I'm not that thrilled about it, that girl will be his +1. My fiancé is totally against it because that girl has treated her horribly, and she doesn't want her at the wedding because she believes she's the kind of person to make the wedding about herself. She's not totally wrong. That girl is extremely weird and is capable of pulling a stunt to get all eyes on her, whether it's negative attention or positive attention. I get why my fiancé is worried, but I don't want to tell my cousin to not bring his +1, who's his girlfriend. My fiancé seems to try to accept it, but I can't help but feel like the a-hole for insisting to invite that girl when my fiancé has valid concerns to not want her there. You're the a-hole. Your fiancé was treated bad by this person. If it was the other way around, wouldn't you be against it? I'm easier with compromises than my fiancé is, and I can manage being in the presence of people I don't get along with. My fiancé, on the other hand, cannot do that because her personality is different. You are saying she cannot do that. Why would you still invite that person if you know this? In order to avoid family drama. If we exclude my cousin's girlfriend, my cousin will be pissed, and then a bunch of relatives will try to intervene and cause drama. Sorry to be blunt, but you need to grow a spine and stand up to your family. Cousin's girlfriend has a history of disrespecting my fiancé and our relationship, and I won't accept that at our wedding, is all you need to say. And if they keep giving you grief, just keep telling them you won't have someone who has disrespected your relationship at your wedding. You're the a-hole. If this woman sounds like she will be causing serious drama, I don't think it's a coincidence she started dating your cousin 3 months before your wedding. Tell your cousin she is not invited. No one who disrespects the bride like that, whether today or 5 years ago, should be allowed to attend. Why does your cousin's comfort matter more than your fiancé's at her own wedding? You're the a-hole. I keep waiting to see a legitimate explanation for this. A cousin can't bring a girlfriend of 3 months, versus the bride has to deal with the stress of knowing a person who harassed and insulted her that they had to cut out of their lives is coming and can cause drama at her wedding. How on earth is this even a debate? Your fiancé has to feel like your lowest possible priority right now. You're the a-hole. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for turning down the best man role and disrespecting the couple's wishes? I will provide some context before getting to the actual story. I come from a country where bridal parties like groomsmen and bridesmaids are not a thing. Some younger couples do wedding parties because it's a trend in the West, but it's definitely not something usual in our culture. Best men and maids of honor don't have the same role that they do in American weddings. They have the role of spiritual supporters in terms of religion. Now, it's usually just our version of best man and maid of honor in the wedding party, and if either of them is married, engaged, or in a long-term relationship, their significant other is expected to sit at the head table along with the bride and groom. It's unheard of here to pair maid of honor with best man and bridesmaids with groomsmen. Everyone is with their significant other or their chosen plus one. Now, my best friend is getting married to his future wife. His wife has never liked my fiancé, since the very beginning. The reason was that his wife wanted to set me up with her cousin, and I rejected her cousin by getting with my fiancé, and ruined her plans. Throughout my 7-year relationship with my fiancé, my friend's wife was doing sketchy things at the beginning to get us to break up, and later she'd just be extremely shady. I put an end to this behavior by speaking to my best friend about his partner's behavior, and how she has no right to treat my fiancé like that. Now on the wedding. The bride decided she wants an actual wedding party full of groomsmen and bridesmaids. She was a very traditional person who always judged that new Western trend, so it came to our surprise how she chose to do that. Later, it became clear, when she announced the wedding party will be paired with each other, and their significant others will not be their significant others for the day, and will have to play pretend with the other wedding party members. So as best man, she wanted to pair me with a maid of honor, who was none other than the cousin she wanted to set me up with. I was expected to walk with maid of honor, dance intimately with maid of honor, sit with maid of honor during dinner, while my significant other would be seated with some random guests she didn't know. Seeing through the bride's intentions, I said that they either changed the plan or I'm stepping down because I know what she's trying to do. She always hated that bridesmaid trend, and she always frowned upon it, but suddenly she wants to adopt every single part of American wedding culture out of spite for me and my fiancé's relationship? My best friend said to either take it or leave it, and then bride pulled the "it's my wedding" excuse and said that even if she wanted us to fake kiss with maid of honor, we should be expected to do it out of respect for her wedding day. I said I'm stepping down from the best man role if it means my relationship to my fiancé is disrespected like that. Our friends understand my reasoning for stepping down, but still claim I'm the a-hole because I'm obligated to respect the couple's wishes no matter what. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Also, the bride is getting the Western tradition wrong. You don't pretend to be in a relationship with a maid of honor as the best man, and you certainly don't fake kiss. Frankly, even in the States, I would turn down this request, because it's completely wacky and usually disrespectful to the fact I'm in a relationship. No one should ask you to act like you're not for a night. I always found this tradition tacky because I find it disrespectful to have someone's significant other separate from them in such an event. But that's just because I grew up differently in another culture and it's not the norm here. She has the Western tradition completely wrong. The only time the best men and maid of honor are paired up is for the walk back down the aisle after the ceremony. They're not treated like a couple during the rest of the celebration. Not the a-hole. Her demand is bizarre. She says she's seen bridesmaids and groomsmen paired for the dance too, and that they have a separate wedding party table where actual significant others aren't allowed. I've seen similar stuff too, to be honest, all over social media, so she's not entirely making it up. It's just that she frowned upon said trend until she saw how she could use it to her benefit to pair me with her maid of honor. Not today, home. I'm so glad you're standing up for your fiancé. When people ask you, don't even make it about the bride. Simply say you are not comfortable performing the requested tasks, especially the things that require you are somewhat intimate with someone other than your fiancé. At first, that's what I said to my friends before telling them the actual reason, since some of them weren't aware of how my friend's wife treated my fiancé and why. At first, I said I don't feel comfortable. That led them to calling my fiancé insecure, and that she could handle not being all coupley with me for one night. After I saw them calling her names, I actually told them the exact reason I'm stepping down. And I'm feeling disrespected since they weren't aware of what was going on all these years, and my fiancé and I didn't want to be petty and expose my friend's wife before. They said that makes me more justified, but I still should not have stepped down because respecting the couple's wishes on their wedding day is more important than my relationship and whether someone will take offense. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to fly with my ex even though we're going to the same wedding and share kids? So my ex's cousin is getting married soon and our families are friends, so I got invited. The wedding is in a different country, and my ex suggested that we, me, him, and our kids, fly together, but I said no. He then told me he would be taking our kids, since it was technically his custody time the day of his flight, so I agreed and said I would see them there then, which he didn't like. He thinks I'm being stubborn and ridiculous by refusing to just all go together, and after realizing none of his attempts to convince me were working, is now angry at me. Every time we interact, he mentions it, and it always turns into an argument. Some of the things he said to try to convince me were that the kids would like it. It would make childcare easier for both of us since flying with small children can be hard. It would be free and easy for me since he would handle everything, etc. My family also think I'm being stubborn and that I should just agree. Am I the a-hole for refusing? Not the a-hole. It would make childcare easier for both of us since flying with small children can be hard. Your ex just doesn't want to deal with the kids on the plane. He asked that the kids fly with him after Opie declined his offer to fly together. So your assumption that he's a crappy father is absurd. It's his time, so I'm not sure that assumption is correct. Not saying he's an awful parent, just that flying with kids is no joke. I think it was a bluff. He was hoping she would protest or give in to flying together. Now he's pissed because things aren't going the way he planned. Not today, home. For the people not paying attention, red flags. That is her ex. He is trying to control Opie and force her to spend time with him. If this was just about the kids, guess what? It's his days and he will have them. There is no reason for Opie to be with him. It's not any different if they had been at home swapping kids like normal. Why is the ex demanding that Opie must be with him? Her kid-free time is her time to do as she pleases. If she wants to be with her boyfriend while she has the kids, then that's her choice. Repeat, it's her ex. He doesn't get the pleasure of her company anymore. And him using the kids as an excuse is just wrong. Exactly. She doesn't have to explain. She said no. What is it with people seeing a no as a let's argue? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend that I don't like the gift she got me and asking for something else? My girlfriend, 22 female and I, 26 male, have been together for almost 4 years and live together. She has a stable career and has bought herself a car and was taught to drive in high school. I was never taught to drive, and it's not really necessary because I can Uber, take the bus, or my girlfriend can drive. She's offered before to teach me to drive, but I declined because I'm not really interested in learning, because I don't plan on getting a car since they cost a lot of money. So, my birthday was yesterday and my girlfriend was really excited to give me my gift. It was private driving lessons, which admittedly cost her several $100s. I was really offended because I don't want to learn to drive. She hyped the gift up like I'd love it, but I honestly hate it. It seems more like it's for her because she wants me to learn to drive than it is for me. I got really upset and disappointed when I opened it, and she kept pushing to ask why I didn't like it. I told her again that I don't care for driving, and it seemed like a really impersonal gift. Because I don't even want my license or a car, so why would I want this? I felt like she doesn't even know me. And she got really upset, so I suggested she return the lessons and get me something I would like better. Now she's calling me Nahal and said the lessons are non-refundable and is really upset with me. I don't think I'm the a-hole because I've told her before that I don't want to drive, and I feel like she's trying to change me. So now she's being immature and won't drive me anywhere and tells me I can Uber if I want to go somewhere, even if it's somewhere she was going to go already. Like she went thrifting into the grocery store without me. We always go together, and said if I really wanted to go that badly, I can Uber. It's not even like I ask her for rides ever. I just tag along if she's already going somewhere. I get Ubers to and from work and have a good job, so it's pointless for me to even get a car or license. When I told her that, she said that she's tired of always being the driver and likes to be the passenger sometimes. But to me it sounds like she gave me a gift that she wants. Because if she hates being the driver so much, I suggested that I could get lessons for her birthday, not mine, and that upset her even more. She said that it isn't a gift for her, and she'd be upset if I got myself driving lessons for her birthday. I told her basically, see, so you'd be upset if I got you something that you think is for me for your birthday. And she said yes. So even though I explained to her there's a double standard, she's still insisting that I'm the a-hole. Info, how much do you financially compensate your girlfriend for driving you about? I don't, because I don't ask her for rides. I just tag along if she's going somewhere. So you never get a ride anywhere that she isn't already going? What happens if she doesn't want to drive? Or if she wants to have a drink? We don't drink because she doesn't want to pay for an Uber. So we just drink at home if we do. And if she doesn't want to go somewhere, then we just don't go. But she'll usually end up needing to go places eventually, like the grocery store or whatever. You're the a-hole. Read between the lines, dude. She's tired of driving you around everywhere. It's one thing to be unable to drive. It's a whole other thing to just refuse to drive. What's going to happen if there's an emergency? But mommy, I don't want to drive. I can just mooch off other people who acquired their basic freaking skills as teenagers. Update. I'm tired of my ex-husband's wife wanting to be my friend just because he cheated on us both. Original post. I don't understand why I'm in this situation, and honestly, I'm frustrated because even my own family tells me I'm the bad one here. I just need to vent. I don't need advice or people saying, do this, you should tell her this, or I would write her this. Over 17 years ago, my ex-husband cheated on me with a woman I didn't know, but she knew who I was. He left me for her when our only daughter was a baby, and I just moved on with my life. I wasn't going to fight for a man who made immature decisions without thinking of the consequences. He married that woman, and I focused on having a healthy co-parenting relationship for my daughter. He never showed any remorse, even telling me that our relationship was a mistake and that the other woman was the love of his life. That helped me see he's not someone I want or need in my life. Now he's cheated on her, and for some reason, this woman, who's always had a cold, distant relationship with me, is trying to talk to me every day. I found out about his infidelity through my daughter, who wasn't affected by it, so I didn't give it much thought. My only concern was whether he'd still be able to have our daughter over on the weekends like usual. But his wife has started sending me messages explaining what happened, even though I never asked her. In the past, I only reached out to her if he didn't answer a question about our daughter. It's obvious she needs someone to talk to, but even when I respond briefly, she keeps sending me long voice messages about it. I get that she's going through something, but why come to me? I don't want to be rude, but I really don't care about how she or he feels. In one of her messages, she said, "You know how I feel now." And yes, maybe I do, but that was 17 years ago. It's not the same. To be completely honest, she can't compare her situation to mine at all. I was a new mom when my husband told me he'd been cheating because I was boring in bed and didn't appreciate him. She, on the other hand, knew he was unfaithful when she married him, so it's not quite the same situation. I've tried ignoring her, but when I bring it up with my family or friends, almost all of them say things like, "Oh, but she must feel lonely. She wasn't to blame for being the other woman. You should be more empathetic." Or my favorite, "She needs someone to talk to." They're basically telling me it's my responsibility as a feminist to support her. I get that she's not to blame for him being a cheater, but as a full-grown adult, she chose to marry a man she knew had cheated with her while his wife was pregnant. So why should I now feel obligated to be her support system? When she had a choice to do the right thing, she didn't. So why is it suddenly my duty to be her friend? It doesn't make sense, and the women around me keep insisting I should feel empathy for her. She and he knew exactly what they were getting into, and I don't see why I need to be her free therapist. Being cheated on isn't my whole personality, and I don't want to talk about it with her 24/7. I'm just going to keep ignoring her because, frankly, I don't care how she feels, even if that makes me a bad feminist for not empathizing. Edit? No, I can't block her because she still lives with him, and I need to have her contact info in case of an emergency with my daughter. Honestly, it's strange how many people are commenting and messaging me about what I should say to her or even drafting messages for me. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to use words from strangers who don't know me, my feelings, or the full situation. It feels like people are projecting their own issues onto my post. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Personally, I just find your family really weird. Just from the title, the situation seemed so absurd that it made me laugh. You don't owe her anything. Tell her to find a therapist because you don't care. My mother was someone's lover, so she has the mentality of, you can't judge the lives of others. It wasn't her fault to fall in love. So that's kind of the way she and my siblings think. I'd be brutally honest with her, just like you were in the post. You're absolutely right. You can't compare your situation from 17 years ago to hers now. She knew exactly what she was getting into, and now she has to lie in the bed she made. You're not her therapist, and honestly, she shares the blame for sleeping with a married man, knowing his wife was carrying his child. As for your family, I don't even know how to describe it. Your mom justifying her own actions like that? Ew. At one point, I thought about being totally honest, but then I thought that would only bring unnecessary problems if they get back together because it seems like it. I just answer things like, what a shame, or downcast face with sweat emoji. And she sends me audios of more than 2 minutes that I don't usually listen to because I don't care. Something very similar just happened to me. My abusive ex's new wife had a breakdown and left him, then showed up at my door wanting to hang out. We've always had a polite but distant relationship. Luckily, I was out of town and told her we could hang out when I got back. Truth is, I don't want to hang out with her, and I definitely don't want to rehash all the crap he put me through. I'm in no mood to be back in that space. Plus, there's the whole issue of her putting up with it for so long. She dealt with way more than I did, but my family seems to think that staying together through abuse is somehow an accomplishment. Anyway, I just humored her and kept flaking until she left me alone. That was years ago for me. I'm over it. I don't want to go back, and I don't want to hear about what she went through. I've already heard enough from my kids. My family had the same reaction. They used to say that in the end, my ex and his wife were really soulmates, just because they were together for 17 years. Now for the update 2 weeks later. Hi, it's been a while since I posted, and I just want to give a little update for those who are concerned. First of all, a bit of background. My mother had a long-term affair while I was a teenager and well into my adulthood. Their relationship lasted for years until he died, and I don't think his wife ever found out. That's why my mother tries to manipulate me into not judging my ex's wife, saying things like, no one chooses who they fall in love with. She sees herself in that woman, which is why she's always said that my ex-husband and his lover, now his wife, are soulmates, and that I shouldn't stand in the way. I was very young at the time, and my mother was the only person I could turn to for a bit of support. Narcissists always prey on the vulnerable, and she took full advantage. Now, I have limited contact with her, though my daughter does spend time with my family. As for my friends and opinions about the other woman vary. Many believe it's misogynistic to judge them because they're single women and it's the man who should be blamed, and we should show solidarity with other women. I usually agree with that perspective, but not in this case. I can feel empathy when the woman didn't know or was a minor being groomed. But here, I have no pity. She knew exactly what she was doing. Women can also choose to be mean and cruel. We're not weak, and my ex's wife is fully accountable for her choices. I know that explanation might be unnecessary, but some people didn't understand my family's or friends' behavior. And honestly, it feels good to vent. So a few days ago, I actually confronted my ex's wife. I'd had an incredibly stressful day, and seeing her messages pop up on WhatsApp pushed me over the edge. I sent her a voice message, telling her I'm not interested in her life or her suffering. I said I'm not her friend, nor do I want to be. She never apologized for her actions, and now she expects me to join her support group for women cheated on by my ex? I let her know that she walked into this with full knowledge of who he was. Knowing he'd already cheated on the mother of his child, she married him anyway, believing she'd be different. I'd love to post that audio here. It was 5 full minutes of catharsis, telling her exactly how I felt. She got upset and we ended up arguing, which was exhausting. I definitely don't want issues to disrupt 17 years of normal co-parenting. I forwarded one of her audios to my ex, after listening to all of them and realizing she hasn't once apologized. Not that I need her apology. She just complained, looking for someone to trash him with or act as her unpaid therapist. I told my ex to tell his wife to back off and find a real therapist. He apologized and said they're both working on their marriage, so she's still dealing with anger and insecurity, obviously. Since I went through the same thing, he said she thought we could share the pain. I told him I'm not her friend, and this affects our co-parenting, so he needs to make sure she respects my boundaries. He reluctantly agreed to talk to her, and for the past 3 days, I haven't received any messages from her, aside from one today letting me know my daughter was sleeping over there. So it seems like it worked. I don't care if they have a happy or miserable marriage, and I don't care if she's happy knowing he cheated but still stays with him. I just want to live in peace, free of drama from people who, at over 40, are still mentally stuck in high school. Karma said, hold my purse. Lol. They'll cheat with you, then on you. Mistress and your mom are so delusional, it's crazy. You should give your ex's wife your mom's number. That's the perfect shoulder for her to cry on, since they can bond as mistresses. Good for you setting boundaries and standing up for yourself. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my soon-to-be ex-husband why I'd take him back when the nanny does more for the family than he does? My husband and I are separated and getting a divorce. We have a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old. He owns his own business and told me he'd be home by 5:30 to 6 every night. I get home around 6 to 6:30, so I didn't think anything of him always being home before me. I had our 3-year-old in extended daycare and our 8-year-old in our school's after-school program thinking he was working. Halfway through last school year, I hired a nanny instead of using the extended care programs. After our oldest had issues with her program, about 2 weeks in, I got a call from the nanny saying my soon-to-be ex had locked them out and told her to take them to the park. The kids were hungry and she didn't have car seats. His house is walking distance from school and daycare, so she hadn't needed them. I called him and he said he'd gotten home early, wanted some space from the kids, and didn't want a random 18-year-old in the house. I had to leave work early to let them in. When I spoke with the nanny, she mentioned she was always home when she got there with the kids and that he was difficult, demanding that she and the kids stay in one of the kids' rooms, ignoring the kids if they try to talk to him, and getting upset if she left the room to grab his snack. That was the last straw for me. I filed for divorce by the end of the following week, and the kids and I moved out by the end of the next month. I ended up letting go of that nanny, and now we have Amina, 24. Amina is a Middle Eastern refugee with 3 kids of her own, ages 2, 4, and 7. Hiring Amina has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. I come home every day to a clean house, homework done, and some of the best Arabic food I've ever tasted. I have no idea how she manages it all, but her support allows me to enjoy my time with my kids, instead of scrambling to make dinner, clean up, and get my 8-year-old to do her homework. She handles grocery shopping, keeps track of school events, and even takes care of things like clothes and school supply shopping for the kids. My soon-to-be ex never did any of that. I once left him with the kids for a week while I went on a work trip, and they lived on McDonald's and pizza, which wrecked my 8-year-old's stomach. When I came back, the house was in the worst shape I'd ever seen. Our 2-year-old, at the time, ran out of clean clothes, and I bought her new ones instead of washing the dirty ones. Now he is asking about getting back together, saying it's better for the kids if we're together. I told him he's never truly thought about what's best for the kids. Even when he takes them for the weekend, all he does is bring them to Grandma's house. I asked him why I should go back to him when Amina does more for us than he ever did. He argued that he works to provide for us, as if that's different from me also working. Apparently close to double the hours he worked, and for similar pay. Now his family is calling me a bad mom, saying that if I cared about the kids, I'd want them to have 2 parents. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I personally would marry Amina. Having a neglectful, abusive parent is worse than a single parent. Ask any child psychologist. What you're describing is not laziness. It's straight-out abuse. You can lose your kids if CPS had been called in that last situation. You really need to think about the kids and not what society told us about what's good for the kids. 100%. If he doesn't live there, the kid grows up to believe he loved them, but unfortunately wasn't able to live there and be around to show it. If he's there and kicking them out the house and getting angry when they approach him, they're at risk for developing all sorts of insecurities. He doesn't seem mature enough to be trusted with your children's mental well-being. You do not have to give a reason to anyone for not wanting to reconcile. If they insist, then I found that I am happier, the kids are more stable, and our lives run more smoothly as things are right now. That's it. No one is owed an explanation for your decision, not even the soon-to-be ex. Ex just wants to get back together because I bet he hates paying child support and not being taken care of by OP. Screw him. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my estranged son nor meeting his child? I haven't slept in nearly 2 days, so please excuse any grammar mistakes. I'm from a country where bullying isn't taken seriously. I'm using fake names to protect my other 2 children, who I'll call Eve and Henry. I lost one of my daughters, Rose, 15 years ago due to relentless bullying by a group who never faced any consequences. One of the people responsible was Sarah, who is now married to my son, Mike. Apparently, they met in university, connected, and started a relationship. A former classmate sent a video of them on a date to Eve. When we confronted Mike, he broke down saying Sarah was sorry and gave a million excuses. He even said that Rose made her own decision and that we couldn't blame Sarah. He added that if we try to make him choose, he would choose Sarah. I told him he didn't need to choose because from that day on, I had 2 dead children and that he should never contact me again. His father and siblings did the same. The only family members who didn't cut him off were his aunt and cousin. Over the years, they tried to reach out with apologies, wedding invitations, and even pictures of their son. I thought Mike understood when he wasn't notified until 2 weeks after his father's funeral. But 2 days ago, he showed up at Henry's workplace to tell him that his wife, Sarah, has terminal cancer and that he needs me because he can't handle it all on his own. Mike then showed up at my house with his son, refusing to leave until I spoke to him. After about 4 hours, I opened the door and told him to leave. Mike tried to force me to meet his child, saying his son was innocent and that Sarah has repented for her role in Rose's bullying, urging me to forgive them. I told him that Sarah's cancer is karma, to which he responded by asking how I could be so cruel, not only to them but to their child. I told him I didn't care about his child or what happens to either of them, and to get off my property before I called Henry to have him removed. His aunt, my sister-in-law, called, saying I'm a selfish, cruel mother who can't let go of the past. She mentioned that Rose wouldn't have held anything against the child. I told her no one was stopping her from helping them, but she made excuses. One being that it wasn't her place, even though it wasn't her place to give Mike my address or Henry's. Am I the a-hole for not helping them? What a deeply painful experience this must have been for you. Losing a child, especially under those circumstances, is an unimaginable hurt. And when a close family member is connected to that loss, the betrayal you feel becomes even more overwhelming. The fact that Mike's life has moved on with Sarah, knowing the pain her actions contributed to, is a lot to take in. You made a choice to protect yourself and your other children from further hurt, especially after how Mike responded when confronted. So, it's understandable why you would hesitate to open the door to that part of your past again, especially without real accountability or meaningful actions to heal the past wounds. Mike may be asking for help, but but it doesn't mean you have to forget the impact their choices had on you and your family. It's a deeply personal decision on whether to help Mike or meet his child. But remember, you are allowed to honor what feels safe and healthy for you. How do you feel about holding firm on that boundary? I know helping Mike will cost me losing contact with Eve. They were very close to Rose, and they witnessed some of the bullying. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé that my little brother is more important than him and our upcoming wedding? Original post. I'm 30 female, and I'm currently 2 months pregnant with my first child and engaged to my fiancé of 3 years, James, 31. For a little background, when I was 15, my parents had my baby brother, and 5 years later, while I was 20 and Matt was 5, my parents and Matt were driving home when they got into an accident, resulting in my parents' deaths. After the accident, I was completely destroyed and devastated, but I had to pull myself together to be there for my brother. The following month, I buried my parents, and with the help of my aunt and uncle, I applied for guardianship of my brother. It took about 7 months before I was approved. I had to get a stable job/income, which I did, and proper housing for me and my brother, which I achieved by using money from my inheritance to buy a house and other necessary things. In the end, I was granted guardianship of my brother. It was hard at first, working while looking after my brother. It's easier now, but there are still ups and downs. Regardless, I would do it all over again for him. I met my fiancé when I was 27 at a gathering and we just clicked. After 3 months of dating, he proposed. At first I said no, because I still had my brother to take care of. But after thinking about it, I said yes, and we agreed to wait until we were financially stable. At the beginning of this year, we decided to tie the knot since I was pregnant because I didn't want my baby to be born out of wedlock. We started the preparations, and the wedding was scheduled for October. But after what happened last Saturday night, it looks like there isn't going to be a wedding. There was many issues where we fought and then resolved things. For example, the wedding date. James wanted it on my brother's birthday. I had a problem with that because I wanted to throw my brother a big party since he was turning 15. I offered a week after, which led to an argument, and he even ran to his mother to try to convince me. But I stood my ground, stating that my brother's birthday is more important to both me and him. There was a little more fighting, but we eventually came to a solution. Then there was the roles I wanted my brother to play in my wedding. At first, I suggested my brother to be his best man, but James said he wanted his best friend. I said okay. Then I suggested my brother be the ring bearer, carrying the rings on a little pillow and bringing them up to us. But James said he wanted his nephew for that role. I said okay and left it. Saturday morning, I was watching a TikTok video where a bride asked her male best friend to be her man of honor, and I thought it was sweet. So I decided to bring it up with James. When he came home, I was in the kitchen while my brother was at his sleepover at his friend's house. As he entered and sat down, I said I had a perfect role for Matt. Him, what's that? Me, I thought he could be my man of honor, and then both wedding parties could come out as singles instead of in pairs. Him, what? Me, man of honor, or I'll call it my brother of honor. It would be lovely. Him, but I thought you wanted my sister to be your maid of honor, so that can't work. Me, I never agreed to this. And what about my brother? I want him to play some role in my wedding. Him, I was thinking he could be a guest and sit in the rows. I was completely shocked. I wanted my brother to be in my wedding, not just some sidelined guest. I didn't know what to say. He wanted to put my brother on the sidelines, while his whole family played some part in the wedding. Most of my bridesmaids were his cousins. Only 2 were close friends, but this he couldn't grant me? I stopped what I was doing and told him no. It was my wedding too, and I wanted my brother to be my man of honor. He started saying his sister was better, and that my brother would be a guest, and he didn't want children in the wedding party. I completely lost it, and we started arguing from one thing to the next. Since Saturday, he hasn't come home, only sending his brother to pick up some of his stuff. Meanwhile, his mother and sister have been blowing up my phone, saying I'm selfish, and asking, so what if my brother is just a guest? The last time they called was Wednesday night, and I went crazy on both of them, using language I'm not proud of. I ended a call with, yes, my brother is more important than him in this wedding. If it's happening, I will never put him ahead of Matt, so I'm freaking sorry. Tell James to contact me to talk things out. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. I was going to suggest your brother walk you down the aisle, but then I kept reading. This is just filled with red flags. I'm gonna bypass the whole fact that your fiancé has filled every wedding role with his family members. And out of 365 days in the year, he wanted the wedding to be on your brother's birthday? And put money on your fiancé pushing for your brother to leave the house after the wedding. So that it's just your family. Him, you, and the baby. Call off the wedding. I got those same vibes. It's max of him getting her pregnant, married, and locked down. Then he can push the brother away. He's been jealous of her brother this whole time and just playing the long game. When someone shows you their true colors, listen to them the first time. This man is showing you red flags here. He seems to resent your brother's part in your life. The fact that you put your brother's well-being over your fiancé's is nothing but a good thing in my opinion. You are a good sister, and you have your brother's back. Your fiancé is showing flagrant disrespect. I'd bet dollars to donuts that he's trying to edge your brother out of your life. So that's when Matt turns 18, your fiancé, by then your husband, would be at the point where it's, he's a man now, he can take care of himself, and it'd push him out the front door. I feel like if I were you, at the very least, I would be reevaluating the relationship. Try talking to him and asking point blank what his problem with Matt is. If he won't answer, then you have your answer. It's because he's a controlling a-hole. Yeah, and added to the red flag of proposing after only 3 months? What is that? She has a house. She's working. He can move in and be the man of the house, except for that pesky kid. Now for the first update. Hello everyone. I'm very sorry I didn't update sooner due to being busy with work, canceling every wedding preparation I made, and preparing Matt for sports camp. I would like everyone to know that I will not be marrying James, and we broke up. On Friday, the week after posting my original post, I got a message from James asking to meet and talk, which I only agreed to if I could pick the day we met, which he agreed to. After picking a day, which was Sunday, when I knew that Matt wouldn't be home all day, I notified James, and he came around midday with his mother. I was shocked when I opened the door and let them in. As they sat in my living room, not saying a word for a few seconds, it made the moment even more awkward. Then James stated that he was sorry for leaving and staying away because he needed to think. Then his mother started condemning me, saying that I wasn't acting like a future wife and that I should put my future husband's thoughts into consideration, along with a lot of other comments. OP, I'm disappointed in you. You're getting married, and you need to stop acting like this toward your future husband, she said to me. I scoffed upon hearing that, then turned to James, asking what his problem was with my brother. It turned out it had more to do with me showing attention to my brother rather than him. He sat there silently for a while and then stated that he wanted a life with me and our unborn child, but not with Matt. I felt utter disgust for him at that moment, as he continued to say that after the wedding and having the baby, he thought he would convince me that raising both a baby and a teenager would be hard on us, and it would be best for me to send Matt to live with my uncle and aunt. However, he would allow me to still support Matt financially. I was completely shocked, and before he could say anything else, I told him, sorry, but no, it isn't happening, and my brother isn't going anywhere. I stood up, took off the ring, handed it back to him, and told him it was over. After saying that, both he and his mother got up, arguing, "You didn't have to do that, and you will regret this." He started to cry, asking me to think about what I was saying. I just walked over the door, opened it, and gestured for them to leave. A few minutes passed before they finally walked through the door, with James crying and pleading while his mother called me some nasty names. Later that evening, his sister and mother blew up on my phone, cussing me out. I only told them to let James come for his remaining stuff. There are a few things I would like to respond to. 1. As so many ask why I didn't choose Matt to walk me down the aisle, I gave my uncle, my father's older brother, the role because after the whole funeral, he was there helping me acquire guardianship and just being there over the years for both me and Matt. 2. Many of you advised me to abort so I wouldn't have any ties to James. But I had to think about it, and I won't be terminating the pregnancy. I will carry the baby to full term. 3. As many of you suggested, I sat down and talked to my brother to see if James ever mistreated him when I wasn't around. Matt said no, that James mostly ignored him and he did the same. I also told him the wedding was off. Oh dude, he's 31, and he told his mommy on you. Bullet dodged. OP, my only advice would be to save any threatening or disturbing messages from him and his family. That information can only help with custody issues or a restraining order. I would be especially careful about messages from the mom and sister. They sound like the kind of people who might be bad influences on your baby and try to emotionally manipulate the child. You did dodge a huge bullet. I would also recommend getting a custody agreement through the court and using a third-party app for co-parenting. Also, be clear that his family shouldn't contact you again. You've absolutely done the right thing when it comes to protecting Matt. But my question now is, what are you going to do about the baby since you are carrying to term? Are you going to give the baby up for adoption? Are you going to try and co-parent with James and his crazy family? He clearly can't keep them out of his business. Thank you, but it's a no for adoption. And if James doesn't step up, I've already raised a child alone and I could do it again. The problem isn't going to be whether James steps up or not. He'll fight for custody because of his mother. Once he has some custody, your kid is going to spend 100% of James's custody time with his harpy mother, who will feed it a whole lot of lies about you. This is going to be very, very, very hard for you to avoid, because if he fights for custody, even different state custody, he will almost definitely get it. And once the kid is in his custody, he will let his mother do whatever she wants. If it takes the kid out of state every summer, you have a very real problem on your hands about what they're going to tell your child for 2 solid months. I'm not telling you what to do regarding the pregnancy, but you are signing up for decades of misery dealing with these people, and they very well might succeed in turning your own kid against you. Imagine your 10-year-old coming home after 2 months of being raised by your not mother-in-law and crying, "I don't get to have 2 parents because you love your brother more than me or daddy." Because that will happen. I honestly get where you're coming from, but I'm prepared to fight tooth and nail for full custody. I'm taking screenshots of the messages his mother and sister are sending me, and I'm planning to seek out a lawyer to begin the process. Thank you for your concern. Second update. Hello everyone. First and foremost, Happy New Year. It has been a while since my last update, but I'm back to provide some updates. I want everyone to know that I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, whom I named after my father. Things have been going well between me and the baby, and Matt is excited to have the baby around. My uncle and aunt were present during my labor and delivery. The day after my son was born, James and his parents visited the hospital. However, I only allowed James to see our son. According to my aunt, James's mother attempted to make a scene, but was quickly silenced by my uncle, who threatened her with police action. My aunt and uncle moved in after my discharge and will stay with me until June. That isn't the only update I want to provide. Last Friday, James came over to see the baby after asking to talk. He asked if there was ever a chance for us to get back together, to which I immediately said no. I told him that the day I returned a ring was the last time we had a romantic relationship, and all I want from him is a co-parenting relationship. It took 10 minutes before he reacted, but he agreed and left. So, I'm currently scheduling meetings with lawyers to set up a suitable co-parenting schedule. I hope he agrees, but aside from that, I'm looking forward to raising and providing for both my baby and Matt so they may have the best life possible. I'll keep everyone posted on any updates. Thank you all for your comments and support. Congratulations on your precious little one. My unsolicited advice to new parents: rest when you can. Don't hesitate to be a mama bear if someone crosses your boundaries. Be present in the moment, but also take lots and lots of pictures. It goes by way too fast. You blink, and the little one will be rolling over and crawling. Say I love you often, take things one step at a time, and don't overwhelm yourself. But most of all, just enjoy that little baby with everything inside you. This is the only response he allowed you. He was railroading you over the wedding, and was prepared to railroad you into getting rid of Matt. You were marrying his mother and sister, in reality, and he was just a cipher for their wishes. But this isn't your fault. It only became apparent when push came to shove, and legal ties were being made that would have solidified the state of the relationship between you. Bullet dodged. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out of my baby shower because she called me old and selfish? My sister, female 31, and I, female 34, married around the same time 7 years ago. She decided to have kids right away. My husband, male 35, and I decided to buy a house first, do a little traveling, and have enough savings before having kids. My sister now has 4 kids. I'm currently pregnant with our baby. I have been dealing with hyperemesis gravidarum, HG, and it's been brutal. Luckily, my mother-in-law and my husband have been amazing to me, and my boss allowed me to work from home until I give birth. My mom can't help me much because she helps out with my sister's 4 kids a lot. Yesterday was my baby shower, which my sister-in-law threw for me. People kept asking about how I was doing, and I was talking about how HG is horrible. My sister decided to interrupt me and said, "Honestly, this is what happens when you get pregnant when you are old. I have had 4 pregnancies and never had these issues. I guess you should have thought about this before all those trips and the 'we are not ready yet' BS. Some of us made sacrifices in our 20s. I got furious. This wasn't the first time she commented about my life, so I told her to get the heck out. She grabbed my nieces and left. My mom said I was being hormonal and should have just ignored her. She thinks my sister said that because she became a mom earlier than me and never enjoyed her life or even any alone time with her husband. My husband thinks I had every right to be upset because she was basically saying I deserve HG. Do I owe my sister an apology for kicking her out? Now for the comments. Nope, not the a-hole. Sister is clearly just jealous and can't handle it. Glad you have great in-laws to support you while you deal with a garbage sister and a mom who can't support you. Yeah, I can't imagine being a mom with a daughter having significant health issues during her pregnancy and not jumping in to support her. Both mom and sister suck. She's enabling her sister. She's probably always been entitled to. Totally agree with this. Please keep them both away from you for the rest of your pregnancy, at least a few months after you give birth. You deserve to enjoy every moment, and they will take any chance to ruin your joy. You're only 34. She's an a-hole. She constantly says she made a sacrifice so they can be done having babies by the time she was 30. Yeah, that's her problem. I had a kid at 42. Honestly, it worked better for my husband and me to have a child later in life. We built a good relationship, traveled, became more financially stable, and could manage our emotions better. It made us better parents. Everyone has their own timeline. Your sister is just bitter because you chose differently. Not the a-hole. Yep, had my kids at 38 and 40. I just knew I didn't want my mother's regrets. I wanted to know my marriage was solid. We were financially stable, and I had experienced the things I wanted too. I was so ready for kids when I had them. I never felt like I sacrificed myself. Pregnancy issues can happen to anyone at any age.